So, when we start this conversation about discerning what it is our body is truly asking for in our states of chronic illness, chronic disease, metabolic dysfunction, you have to understand the underpinnings of the systems, the multiple systems at play for which our symptoms are the end result. And I'm going to use this video to talk about my line of thinking when it comes to addressing what these symptoms actually are, and how I trace those steps back to something actionable, whether it be with food, supplements, lifestyle, you name it. The first is to know the players in the game. And when I say players in the game, I'm talking about organs, glands, and specific tissues. And because this is video 1 in this whole series, I'm going to start with what I see as ground zero. And this is one of 2 things that are ground zero, but number 1 is going to be the liver. And so let's start with the core functions of the liver itself. So it is a major player in glucose homeostasis. So this is the building of glycogen, the kind of strands of glucose strung together for efficient storage in the liver. Gluconeogenesis, so the creation of glucose byproducts from non-carbohydrate sources, like turning protein into glucose, turning fat into energy. Glycogen lysis, which is the breakdown of the storage form of carbohydrates into their usable forms as glucose for bodily processes. You've got lipid metabolism. This is making cholesterol. This is oxidizing fat. This is packaging lipoproteins to be disposed of. This is protein synthesis, making albumin, clotting factors, and transport proteins. Hormone metabolism, testosterone, estrogen, making those things bioavailable. Cortisol, processing it, being made from the adrenal glands. Processing of insulin as well. There's a lot of crosstalk between insulin being released from beta cells in the pancreas and the liver, because they're going back and forth to regulate blood sugar. And also the thyroid conversion of T4 to T3. And then you've got detox. That's kind of like the flagship function of the liver. It is the filter. It is getting rid of waste. One of the main ways that it does that is through bile production. And bile is fat emulsification. It's a way for our body to process fat. It kind of creates these vesicles that all of the waste byproducts kind of get bound in and excreted out through our excretory system, whether that be through our sweat, our pee, or our feces. The liver is also a major storage site for minerals, specifically iron, copper, zinc, manganese, and magnesium, right? These are all huge factors in antioxidant support. So glutathione is also one of the main products of the liver. And iron, copper, zinc, manganese, these are all cofactors in specific enzymes that help regulate our internal oxidative stress. And then the next are immune surveillance. So because the liver is responsible for filtration and getting rid of things that aren't needed, it's also going to play a part in determining what is or is not needed. So there are specific cells in liver that are called Kupffer cells, Kupffer, and they are part of the initial stage frontline defense of marking things as does it stay or does it go. So given all of those functions, now we can take a look at each of those steps of its resume and see what the ingredients are for those processes to be successful. And here's just a list of a few of them. So choline, which is a B vitamin. This is for very low density lipoproteins. So this is kind of like the bad cholesterol. Choline is necessary for the export of bad cholesterol within bile out of our body. Sulfur compounds, so MSM, N-acetylcysteine or NAC, as well as good things like in garlic or ginger. B vitamins, B2, B3, B6, B9, B12. These are all for the methylation processes of the detox functions of the liver. And making sure that our body has the energy it needs, because the liver is an energy intensive molecule. B vitamins are very important in that balance within the mitochondria. Magnesium, for obvious reason, it's a cofactor in just about everything that the liver does, which involves glucose and fat processing. Then you've got copper and zinc. These are playing off of one another, but they're needed for antioxidant enzymes, specifically superoxide dismutase, which is a way for our body to naturally neutralize reactive oxygen species. And then manganese, for the same reason, manganese SOD is a major mitochondrial antioxidant. And all of these trace minerals are floating around in the liver. They are very important for the liver's function. And because the liver has a role in so many things, it touches a lot of other systems in the body. So the liver-gut axis, the liver-pancreas axis, the liver-thyroid axis, the liver and the brain, the liver and the immune system. It has a part in every single one of these systems. And so when you think about if the liver isn't able to do what it needs to do, it's also negatively impacting all of those other organs. So what do some of these dysregulation patterns actually look like? So some of the early signs have to do with skin issues, right? Skin is our largest detox organ. And if the liver can't properly dispose of waste material, guess where it goes next? It ends up coming out of the skin, and this can be through acne, it can be through eczema, spontaneous rashes, and the like. It can also be fatigue and the suppression of proper energy output after high-fat meals. Why is that? Because the liver and bile, right? If the liver can't make enough bile and have proper bile flow, that means our body isn't able to digest fats efficiently. This is going to cause poor energetic dynamics after eating that fat, and it's going to impact our digestion after the fact. Has to do with like sticky stools. Like we all kind of know what poop looks like if fat isn't properly absorbed. Next is hormonal balances. So for all of the, whether it be minerals, whether it be oxidative stress buildup, the liver needs to be able to help our body process and make bioavailable certain hormones. Thinking about estrogen and testosterone, insulin. If the liver can't do its job, those things aren't going to do its job either. So things like PMS in women, androgen dominance in females, estrogen dominance in males, this all has to do with the liver not being able to do its job. Secondly, when it comes to processing environmental toxins, you may have sensitivities to perfumes, alcohol, certain medications. These are all external toxins that, again, if our liver can't properly handle it, it's going to impact the other systems in our body, usually the skin, sometimes the sensory organs as well. And as a result of all of these things happening in an unhealthy liver, there are compensations, specifically an overburden on the other filtration organs like the kidneys and the skin, right? If the liver, the main detox system, can't do its job, the other detox systems are going to have to pick up where the liver left off. Next is gut dysbiosis. So again, if the bile can't flow, if the minerals can't be properly absorbed, there's going to be a backlog of things in the gut and undigested things in the gut that are going to lead to gut dysbiosis. And then, of course, the hormonal either reabsorption or bypassing. So this can lead to fibroids, PCOS, low testosterone in males, high androgens in women. And end stage symptoms of this kind of liver dysfunction end up as non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, cholestasis, which is a backup of bile, a backup of gallstones in the gallbladder, estrogen dominance, hypothyroidism, and histamine intolerances. So if anything I've said in this video makes you think, I think I might have some of that, check your liver.